a year ago at this event, we wouldn't have had these conversations. So we wouldn't have had an embodied robotic humanoid AI because it didn't exist. And the focus in AI was much more technical, much less about the philosophy behind it, its application, relationship to human thought, human spirituality, and what it means to be human. So I'm really pleased in this event today that we've grasped that nettle and we've talked about AI from this fundamental point of view. But now we're going to move on, and quite rightly, we're going to talk in more detail about the application of AI in our businesses and in our real lives. We have an excellent panel with which to do this. I'm very pleased to invite up onto the stage. First of all, our original speaker is involved in a vote in Parliament, in the Hellenic Parliament, so they will be replaced by Dimitris Papastergiou, who is the Minister of Digital Governance of the Government of Greece. Hang on, I may have got that wrong. I think I have. So let me go to the correct page here of my schedule and correct that. Yeah, we have Demosthenes Anagnostopoulos, who is the Secretary General for Information Systems and Digital Governments of the Ministry of Digital Governments of Greece. Please come up and join me. We also have Ivan Vasilev, who is the Minister of Innovation and Digital Transformation for Bulgaria. You merit applause for some reason. We'll find out in a second why that might be. And from our business community, we're very pleased once again to welcome to the stage Ivona Sikora, who's the Senior Vice President and General Manager for EMEA at Iron Mountain. Ivona, please come and join us. We have Georgios Sioufas, who is the Managing Partner and Founder at Sioufas Associates Law Firm. Hi, Ivona, please come and join us, find a seat. We have Thanasis Navrozoglou, who is the President and Chief Executive of Natech Banking Solutions. This is just like the World Cup. Some teams have got massive support. Your ultras are out there in the audience. Some teams perhaps need to assert themselves a little more. And we have Paul Meeks, who's the Head of Technology Research at Freedom Capital Markets. Paul, you're getting some applause. Please come and join us. Paul's coming the long way. Milking the applause. Excellent.
Hey, boss.
Hiya, how are you? Actually, the boss is standing over there in a metal jacket, so I give way to our mechanical overlords. We're having photos at the beginning of the session. Okay, look. It's been I think we'll all agree it's been a fascinating session so far this morning that we've been accompanied by Amica and by the Metropolitan and by a philosopher and by, well, a lot of philosophy from our two previous exponents. But we need to get down to the nitty-gritty. We need to talk about the application of AI, how it is being used, what opportunities are being opened up and revealed by the adoption of AI. And we will talk about the risks, but I'd like to focus, if we can, on the opportunities. So you each have 4 or 5 minutes according to the program, but there are a lot of us, so I will ask you to be really disciplined about timekeeping. If you can give me back a minute, then we'll have more time for questions. So let's start with you, please.
Thank you. So it's very nice to be here on the 30th anniversary of this conference, and I understand I'm supposed to speak in Greek preferably, so I'm going to switch to Greek if it's okay with you.
Yeah. Amica doesn't mind.
Yeah, after all. Yeah. Είναι πολύ θετικό ότι οι προηγούμενοι ομιλητές μίλησαν με καλά λόγια για το τι κάναμε τα τελευταία χρόνια στην Ελλάδα. Και για το λόγο αυτό είναι πιο ωραίο να ακούς άλλους να λένε γι' αυτό. Πράγματι έχουμε καταφέρει πολλά και μπορούμε να κάνουμε ακόμα περισσότερα και μας δίνει την υποχρέωση, εφόσον έχουμε πετύχει αρκετά και αναγνωρίζεται διεθνώς αυτό, να είναι ακόμα πιο σημαντικό αυτό που θα πούμε τώρα. Άρα πρέπει να είμαστε ακόμα περισσότερο προνοητικοί και υπεύθυνοι σε αυτό το οποίο προτείνουμε για το μέλλον. Σε ό,τι αφορά την Ευρώπη, πράγματι φαίνεται ότι από πλευράς τεχνολογικής εξέλιξης, στον χώρο της τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, η Ευρώπη δεν έχει πρωτοπορήσει. Και αυτό είναι το μείζον θέμα. Όμως η Ευρώπη έχει πρωτοπορήσει σε θέματα που έχουν να κάνουν με την υιοθέτηση της υπεύθυνης τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, δημοκρατικής τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, με έναν τρόπο που στο μέλλον έχει πολύ μεγάλη σημασία πώς θα μπορέσουμε να το αξιοποιήσουμε. Θέλω να είμαι πάρα πολύ πραγματιστής και πρακτικός στην προσέγγιση που κάναμε, έστω και αν δεν είναι τόσο ενθαρρυντική όσο να συζητάει κανείς σε φιλοσοφικό επίπεδο ή με την Άνικα. Στο μέλλον θα πρέπει να συναγωνιστούμε με το αν η τεχνολογική πρωτοπορία της Αμερικής, ΗΠΑ και της Κίνας μπορεί να είναι ανταγωνιστική από την Ευρώπη και με ποιο τρόπο. Η αλήθεια είναι ότι αν βάλεις δύο εταιρείες να συναγωνιστούν και η μία έχει ένα πολύ μεγάλο γλωσσικό μοντέλο, καλό γλωσσικό μοντέλο, έτοιμο πριν ένα χρόνο και έρθεις μετά από ένα χρόνο εσύ με ένα εξίσου ας πούμε καλό μοντέλο, αλλά με τρόπο που είναι και χρήση τεχνητής νοημοσύνης με υπεύθυνο τρόπο, αυτό το οποίο η αγορά θα προτιμήσει θα είναι το πρώτο. Διότι αυτός ο οποίος βγάζει μια τεχνολογία πολύ μπροστά είναι αυτός ο οποίος θα μπορέσει να αξιοποιηθεί από την αγορά. Και αυτό είναι το θέμα σε ό,τι αφορά την Ευρώπη. Η Agentic AI δίνει τη δυνατότητα όχι μόνο να δημιουργούμε περιεχόμενο, αλλά να το χρησιμοποιούμε προκειμένου να εκτελούμε εργασίες στο όνομα του πολίτη, στο όνομα της κυβέρνησης, να μπορέσουμε να επιταχύνουμε διαδικασίες, να κάνουμε κάτι το οποίο όχι μόνο είναι παραγωγή περιεχομένου, αλλά αξιοποίηση, την πραγματοποίηση πραγματικών διεργασιών. Η Ευρώπη μπορεί να δώσει το συνθετικό που αφορά στην υπεύθυνη χρήση. Η υπεύθυνη χρήση θα αξιοποιηθεί ως πλεονέκτημα και μπορεί κάποιος να το προτιμήσει αυτό, εφόσον όμως μπορέσει να είναι και τεχνολογικά μπροστά. Και το μεγάλο πρόβλημα είναι πώς θα μπορέσουμε να δημιουργήσουμε την τεχνολογία παράλληλα με την υπεύθυνη χρήση, έτσι ώστε να είναι κάτι το οποίο θα προτιμήσει κανείς. Γιατί αν δημιουργήσουμε την υπεύθυνη χρήση χρόνια μετά, είναι κάτι το οποίο δεν θα έχει σημασία πλέον. Συνεπώς, υπάρχει κάτι το οποίο ονομάζεται ανταγωνιστικό πλεονέκτημα για την Ευρώπη, αλλά είναι κάτι το οποίο πρέπει να το δει κανείς σε καθαρά τεχνολογική βάση. Και η Ευρώπη πρέπει να δουλέψει πολύ περισσότερο σε ό,τι αφορά τους κρίσιμους παράγοντες, που είναι η δημιουργία επεξεργαστικής ισχύως, η δυνατότητα να μετατρέπει την τεχνογνωσία και τη startup σε προϊόντα, και αυτό είναι το μεγάλο πρόβλημα της Ευρώπης, παραδοσιακά. Η δυνατότητα να έχει πολύ μεγάλες επενδύσεις στη τεχνολογία, επίσης ένα μεγάλο θέμα για την Ευρώπη. Και επίσης το θέμα του ταλέντου, το οποίο η Ευρώπη το έχει, αλλά δεν μπορεί να το αξιοποιήσει τόσο καλά. Το κομμάτι του regulation και της υπεύθυνης χρήσης το έχουμε, αλλά μόνο αν μπορέσουμε να έχουμε μια ισορροπία σε ό,τι αφορά την παροχή τεχνολογικών υπηρεσιών, θα μπορέσει η Ευρώπη να είναι πραγματικά ανταγωνιστική. Και αυτό για να είμαστε απόλυτα ειλικρινείς. Κλείνοντας, θα ήθελα να πω κάτι πολύ απλό. Ο τρόπος που τώρα παρέχονται σε οποιονδήποτε από εμάς υπηρεσίες τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, στον ιδιωτικό αλλά και στο δημόσιο τομέα, είναι μέσω εταιρείων που έχουν αναπτύξει τα μοντέλα αυτά, αλλά και μέσα από hyperscalers, δηλαδή εταιρείες όπως η Microsoft, η Google, η Amazon, οι οποίες παρέχουν αυτές τις τεχνολογίες σε εμάς ως καταναλωτική δυνατότητα. Άρα, η κυριαρχία της Ευρώπης και η δυνατότητα κάθε ενός από εμάς να δημιουργεί αλλά και να χρησιμοποιεί αυτές τις τεχνολογίες περνάει από τους παραγωγούς της τεχνολογίας στην τεχνητή νοημοσύνη και τους hyperscalers. Είναι ένα κρίσιμο ζήτημα το οποίο πρέπει να δουλέψει η Ευρώπη πάρα πολύ, διότι αν αυτή η δυνατότητα δεν έχει εναλλακτικές, τότε όχι μόνο σε θέματα κυριαρχίας, αλλά και σε θέματα τεχνολογικής πρωτοπορίας, δεν θα μπορέσουμε να συναγωνιστούμε με αυτό το οποίο έρχεται και είναι εδώ. Θα ήθελα να πω κάτι περισσότερο, αλλά την επόμενη φορά.
Of course you want to add more. And we want to hear more, and we will do shortly. Ivan Vasilev, Minister of Innovation and Digital Transformation, on point. What's the view from Bulgaria?
I've prepared a short speech, so let me just start with my speech, and then I dig deeper with the Q&A session.
That's good, yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, earlier today on this stage, you met Amica, a robot that talk about to you about what it means to be a human. So let me tell you what happened when the robots arrived at the Ministry of Innovation and Digital Transformation of the Republic of Bulgaria. In Bulgaria, we recently did something a little bit unusual. We set up an informal advisory council made up entirely of AI robots and systems, a panel of so-called digital advisors. We plan to ask them the long, complicated, and difficult question about jobs, education, the economy. They will help us see patterns which we might otherwise miss. But they do not have the right to vote. They do not decide single-handedly anything. They do not replace a single human expert. But they read everything. They know a lot. They never sleep, and they are surprisingly frank, because robots have no career or allies to protect. Also, you can count on them to be objective, as we heard from Amica. I start with this, not as a curiosity, but because it captures Bulgaria's philosophy for the agentic age. Do not fear the technology, but put it to work under human control, in the open, for the public good. This year in Sofia, we start the construction of the Brain++, one of the 6 newest AI factories in the European Union. A 90 million euro home for a new AI supercomputer open to scientists, companies, and public institutions alike. It builds on Insight, a research institute we created together with 2 of Europe's finest universities, ETH Zurich and EPFL. Insight developed BGPT, the first AI model of its kind in our part of Europe, built by the public, for the public. And we give it away for free to every school, every municipality, and every business. A country cannot outspend the giants, but a country can outshare them. And since we are here in Greece, allow me one more fact. A secure quantum communication line already runs from Sofia to the Bulgarian-Greek border, part of a European network connecting Greece, Bulgaria, Cyprus, and Romania. Scientists call this technology entanglement. I call it a good neighborhood policy. Now to the actual topic of this session. The change on the way is easy to describe. Yesterday's AI answered questions. Today's AI gets things done. These digital co-workers can plan, act, and follow through. Analysts expect that by the end of this year, 4 in 10 businesses' applications will have such agents built in it. And yet, most companies are still only experimenting. Very few trust agents with real work. This distance between the demo and the daily routine is where Europe's competitiveness will be decided. And I believe government should go first. At the Ministry of Innovation and Digital Transformation of the Republic of Bulgaria, we use AI in our everyday work, and we don't fear it. In Bulgaria, 62 public registers already exchange data automatically. Our platform, called Sigma AI, opens public procurement data to everyone, and any citizens or investigative journalists can see where public money goes. The next step is simple to say, but hard to do. An administration that comes to you with the answer, instead of you queuing for it. If we want businesses to trust digital co-workers, the state should be the first the first employer to hire one. Let me also be honest about the hard part. The real AI divide in Europe is not between countries, it's between big companies and small ones. Today, only about 1 in 12 Bulgarian companies uses AI. The European average is 1 in 5. I will not hide that number. It is also our biggest opportunity, and our AI factory is the answer. Supercomputing as a service, so that a furniture maker in a small Bulgarian town gets the same computing power as a multinational. The rules and the principles are, of course, necessary and important. You know the cliche that Europe regulates while other innovates. Bad rules are indeed sometimes a burden, but good rules are a foundation. Europe is not retreating, Europe is listening, and it should never have to choose between innovation and trust. Trust is what allows innovation to grow. Amica talked about what it means to remain human in the age of AI. For me, as a Minister of Innovation and Digital Transformation, the answer rests on one simple principle. Decisions belong to people. Machines are there to serve. And no algorithm will ever stand between a citizen and their right to an explanation behind every decision that matters. There must be a human who answers to it. This roundtable speaks of a progress in an age of upheaval. Upheaval is what history sends us, but progress is what nations choose. Bulgaria has made its choice to invest in knowledge and talent, to share what we create, and to earn trust every single day. And to our friends and partners in this room, my message is simple. Bulgaria is open. Come build with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Let me ask, I thought you left one issue hanging there, which was your government organized this consultation with AIs.
Yeah.
What was the outcome? Was it useful? Will you repeat it?
It's still in progress. I've just launched the Robot Advisory Board just 2 weeks ago, and I have the first robot in it called the Robot. I also invite the Robert Sofia, and after this panel, I have a conversation with Amica to invite her to join my panel and my advisory board. So I'm open to any robot around the world to join Bulgaria's AI and Robot Council. So we can create the future we want together.
So I think you're creating a new class of nomadic workers, and you're going to have robots flocking to Bulgaria to take advantage of your regime there. Okay, well, we've heard from our two policymakers. It's very clearly a government-first overview of the way policies can be implemented by government for the benefit of citizens at a national and European level. Let's move on to our business representatives. Ivona from Iron Mountain. I mean, our focus is on agentic AI. So first of all, give us a thumbnail idea of what we mean when we say agentic AI, and then give us your thoughts on this topic, please.
Okay, so everybody kind of thinks about AI. Kind of in the past, AI was actually giving us answers to the information, to questions, looking for the information. Right now, with the agentic AI, it's really it's about the agents that they can actually perform the work. Right. So, you have I can very simplify, like in a bank, you have onboarding of a customer, or you issue a building permit. You have an information that it's scattered across a number of systems. Somebody is actually verifying it, kind of making a decision, and really kind of proceeding on the task. Today, agents can do that, agentic AI. And the other kind of spin on it is, in the past, we had something that was robotic process automation that was doing some of the work, but it was really kind of repeating the actions that you actually train. The difference with the AI is that they can actually learn themselves. They can, over time, as you are actually giving feedback and kind of deal with some of the exemptions and so on, it can learn and can actually augment the process itself.
Just to be clear, our friend over there, Amica, was very coy, I thought, in their expression of their capabilities. Agency means a move towards autonomy. So what we're talking about here is how we control that autonomy, how we limit it, and that's down to us, because Amica, I'm sure, would be happy to wander off and do everything themselves if they were so permitted. So this agency question is really critical, I think, in terms of capabilities, opportunities, and risks. Let's move along to Georgios Soufias, managing partner and founder of your own law firm. Please give us your view.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For the past years, we lawyers have been debating generative AI, systems that answer when asked. That debate is already behind us. The question before us today is different. In kind, not in degree. Agentic AI does not want to be asked. It plans, it decides, it executes, it asks. An agent can review a data room, draft a disclosure schedule, negotiate a term, and file the document. Not sequentially, at the lawyer's prompting, but autonomously. In pursuit of an objective it was given once. And the law, as it stands, has no native category for this. Let me put the problem plainly. Our entire legal architecture, contract, agency, liability, professional responsibility, is built on one single assumption, that behind every act stands a person, a principal who instructs, an agent who obeys, a mind to which we can attribute intention, negligence, fault. Agentic AI quietly removes that person from the middle of the transaction. When an autonomous system concludes a contract on terms no human reviewed, who's consented? Who consented? When it errs, who was negligent? The developer, the deployer, the lawyer, who supervised or failed to? The UA Act gives us foundation, a good foundation, and should be proud that Europe moved first. But let us be honest with ourselves. The Act was convened for AI as a product, a system to be classified, assessed, and placed on the market. But agentic AI behaves less like a product and more like an actor. Regulating an actor by product rules is like regulating an employee under consumer protection law. It captures something, but not the essence. So what is the essence? I would suggest 3 principles for our discussion today. First, accountability by design. Autonomy for the machine can never mean anonymity for the human. Every agentic system must carry an unbroken chain of attribution, a natural or legal person who answers for its acts established before deployment, not litigated after the damage. Second, calibrated human oversight, not the fiction of a human in the loop who rubber stamps 1,000 decisions an hour, but meaningful control points where the stakes demand judgment and the professional courage to define where those points lie. Third, proportionality. We must not regulate the agent that schedules meetings as we regulate the agent that executes security trades or drafts a merger agreement. If we do, we will achieve the worst of both worlds. Innovation stifled where it is harmless, and risk unaddressed where it is real. For our profession specifically, I will say this, and I say that as a practicing lawyer, not a technologist. Agentic AI will not replace lawyers, but it will mercilessly expose the difference between those who practice law as a process and those who practice it as judgment. Process can be delegated to an agent. Judgment, the weighting of interests, the reading of a client, the ethical line one refuses to cross, cannot. Our task is to build the framework that keeps judgment where it belongs, with accountable human beings. The technology will not wait for our doctrines to mature. So let us begin. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for that. Thank you. Let's move straight along to our next speaker, Thanasis Navrosoglou, who is the President Chief Executive of Natech Banking Solutions. Your thoughts, please.
Well, thank you. I think I've heard a lot of interesting ideas and a lot of challenging, let's say, questions. And some of the previous panels also talked about the, let's say, about the ethics part, about the philosophical elements of AI, about many other things. I think we have a tremendous opportunity, though, here with AI. And being in Europe, I'm a European, we are in Greece at the moment. I think we also have a great opportunity to utilizing AI in democratizing innovation, because we have a lot of innovation, we have a lot of imagination, we have a lot of new tool sets out there. So AI is now bringing this, let's say, equality across every single place out there. You know, innovation can happen in Sofia, it can happen in Athens, can happen in Ioannina, where is my hometown. So there's no constraint anymore in where you build things. You know, the doctrine before was technology to be consumed everywhere. Nowadays, I think, is technology to be created anywhere, everywhere. Because through AI, you have this opportunity once in a lifetime. Actually, it was mind-blowing what effect that change has had in over too many industries, including ours. And we can really, really build stuff. Now, if you look at the audience, you can see many people interacting with physical devices, with technical devices, with technology, with their phones. This is actually augmenting their lives. And so that we can also do that through AI. And AI is everywhere. Of course, we have an issue in Europe, which is we're not really building the infrastructural layer to support further innovation in AI, but we have those great companies out there who are building it. So we are using models from built either in China, as you mentioned, or in the US, which is, let's say, the market that is building, say, for the Western world, the majority of the large language models. And we here in Europe, we have also another opportunity, and we're really good at, let's say, regulating it. Now, that can be really funny, but if we can build, this European continent, this house of, let's say, trust, let's call it the house of trust around AI, where people, can bring their ideas, innovate, and build things with transparency, with a great, let's say, with a safety net around whatever you do. I think we can innovate further. Now, also, I'm coming from a world where we're building technology for a heavily regulated, let's say, domain, which is the banking domain. And then we have quite an interesting thing. People who are using banking applications, or they feel that technology is a lot around, let's say, banking, about processes, about back office things, and so on. And they go back home, and they see that the appliances they're using, their mobile phones, or their TV sets, are more advanced and easier to use than their banking applications. So there's room for improvement. Definitely there's room for improvement. And I think this is also another opportunity that we can bring to the table, also with a risk, because we cannot really forget about the risks. But the main risk is not about not doing something perfectly fine. It's about not doing anything in the right timing. So timing is of essence. And I really feel that in Europe we have this opportunity, but we have to be really faster in deploying it. And thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. That's really interesting. Let's move along to Paul. Paul Meeks, Head of Technology Research at Freedom Capital Markets. Your reflections?
Sure. First of all, I apologize to everybody who we elected President of the United States. So I came here to do that for you first off.
We've got an alternative for you. Standing right behind you could probably do a better job.
So I am a Wall Street investment banking analyst, and so I cover technology, and I specifically publish and speak in the media about AI infrastructure. And I agree with my buddy here, because you would expect the American on the panel to talk his book. When we say talk your book on Wall Street, you're doing something self-serving. But I actually see a big opportunity at this stage in the AI infrastructure build-out for Europe, because the building of the large language models was and is a nuclear arms race between the biggest. The 4 or 5 hyperscalers in the United States are going to spend over $700 billion this year. And they've already said in 27 more. And they haven't said anything about 28 yet, but I bet more. So that is a race that is very hard to win. However, we have gone in the food chain from large language model building to now inference, some of the things that you're talking about, agentic AI. And the nice thing about that is who wins are not necessarily the arms suppliers in the AI infrastructure build, but the application layer. And even at the dinner last night, the Prime Minister was talking about this. It's a good comment. And so this is a great opportunity. A great opportunity. Let the other guys spend all this crazy amount of money, because at the end of the day, I think some of them may regret what they spent. But here is a chance, as we go from large language models to inference to agentic AI, for Europe to really have a big impact, an oversized impact, as some of the other giants have had in the early stages. The one thing I would say about regulations is, particularly in the world that we live in the United States today, we have Trump for about 2.5 more years. Not that I'm counting the days. But one of the things that we made a mistake is in the advent of the internet. In the United States, in 2026, we are still operating under legislation that was passed in 1996 when Bill Clinton was president. That was a long time ago. And here is an example of how it goes badly when you don't change things. In 1996, under the original legislation, they decided that the social media companies like Meta and then later Google would be seen as data transmission pipes. They weren't responsible for the content. Now, if I'm a reporter for the New York Times, I write an article, I better make sure that the facts are right because I'm sued, right? Same thing with your publication. But what happened was when you are considered not a content creator, but a data pipe, then you can put up racist material. Then somebody goes in and kills people in a place of worship, and they stream it all on Facebook. So that was obviously an error. So the best legislation, where I have the most hope, is not from our own country, because A, we have Trump, and B, we have a divided Congress between the Democrats and the Republicans. It's probably going to come from you. And that's cool. That's cool. And please, bring it on.
Okay. Yeah, I can assure you we have no division at all in Europe.
Yeah, I've read about that too.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. That's a great review across the board. Yvonne, I'm very grateful to you for dedicating some of your time to helping us get to grips with the idea of agentic, what we really mean, and how this is a transformation in our relationship with AI. So I'm going to come back to you. I want to get down to the nitty-gritty here. We'll stick with our business representatives for the moment. How are you? This is always the test is always you sell your book, so to speak, but do you actually use this stuff? Do you use your own product? So tell us how Iron Mountain and its clients employ AI. Now, I asked you this question a couple of years ago. It was pretty much the same form of question. So I'm really interested if you can reflect on how your answer now differs from your answer then, if you remember.
Yeah. So thank you, Alistair. So obviously, we heard on the previous panels, and Amica is a really good example. AI has developed so much over the last 2 years that what we have been applying AI in the past, it was kind of strictly really kind of data extraction, data classification. So it's really kind of making a use of a data that we're kind of, we call it like a dark data. Today, as we said, is really kind of how the AI agents are going to do the work, how they are going to, challenge also the thinking, as the minister was saying about kind of the government in Bulgaria, how you are running your business, how you're running the citizen services and so on. So definitely it is happening. And over the last 2 years, what we have seen, there was a lot of like pilots, like how do we kind of pilot this? What is the outcome? And also some of the companies are actually looking into, instead of setting up the measures, what is truly the outcome of, if you are applying an agent, what is it that I want to have? It was, I still see a lot of companies having like, we will be using kind of AI everybody has to use it for at least an hour or something like that. So this is definitely not the right application. It's more like a familiarizing people with that. It's more about kind of a change management. But I think right now we're getting to the very practical use of AI, and I can even use the Greek government that has a MAI Gov or is using AI agents in the Hellenic Cadastre to verify the notary deeds. So it's already, we could see a practical use, but it's really kind of about structuring the data and really designing the outcomes. And what is also the role of the human? It's like, a lot of people are saying, AI is going to replace my work. Yes, it's going to replace that kind of basic work that was really kind of, I'm going to read this, I'm going to check this. We can absolutely have a machine doing. So it is actually kind of requiring upskilling our people in terms of, first of all, how do you manage AI from a perspective of how they're delivering the work, but it's also what I as a human, kind of am going to add to this. And that was this kind of, we have this kind of what the differentiation between human and the machine is.
Let me move along to Georgios. I mean, the legal profession, a bit like the doctor's surgery, this is not a place where you want machines making decisions. They have tremendous contribution to make, but where do you draw the line? Give us a practical, tell us a little bit practically about where your organization is using AI and where you're drawing the lines.
Yes. For me, the real shift is from AI that answers to AI that does. A year ago, the tools were clever assistants. You could ask, they replied, you did the work. What is changing now, and this is important for the professional services sector, is that agents execute multi-step tasks end-to-end. And that touches the core of our services. So in my practice, take the document-heavy end of my practice. In a due diligence exercise, an agent can now work through an entire data room, real hundreds of contracts, flag change of control clauses, assignment restrictions, indemnities, and produce a first-pass issues list overnight. That work needed a team of associates a week, and now come back in a few hours. Same with the draft of agreements. So the part I would like to stress as a lawyer is agentic AI changes the execution layer, not the accountability layer. The agent's draft, I remain responsible. Who signs? Who is answerable to the client, the court, and the regulator? So, which means the real disciplines now are verifications, confidentiality. You cannot pour privileged material into a system you don't control. And a clear record, we need a clear record of where the human judgment entered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanasis, the financial sector is about trust, about privacy, but about the management of massive data sets. Where do you draw the line? How are you employing this new technology, and how are you keeping it away from areas that might be of particular risk in your sector?
Well, that's a very good question. Actually, the data is massive, and till very recently, you didn't have real ways of analyzing or getting into proper, let's say, quality results or information out of this data. You could, but it would take time. Nowadays, you have AI, and you can utilize greater technology to get into decision-making faster. And now that has even further evolved, and you can actually take actions or delegate actions, but still you have to be accountable for those decisions you're taking, as you rightly said. But this is quite the strength of this new era. Now, whether there's going to be leakages of data into the models, that's something that we are heavily working, all the guys, all the people working in the technology, the regulators as well. They're trying to create islands of silos, let's say, of security and so on. But there's another risk. If you don't act like that, then there are adversaries who are working really, really hard, utilizing the best of the technology to go beyond those firewalls or those protection layers that you have, and you can have fraud, or you can have impersonation, or you can take account takeovers. Nowadays, we heard people having meetings with people that are not really there because of AI. I've been victim myself as well. So this is something that is increasingly pressing a lot of technology companies, a lot of people in the financial sector. But unless we use it, we also have this liability against our clients and them against their clients for not using a tool set that is available, but somebody else could use it on their behalf for not the best of their interests.
And you're also in a very competitive environment. You can't fall behind.
Correct.
You can't afford to fall behind competitors. Paul, is regulation the answer to these risks that we're hearing about? Can regulation do the job? And in particular, given the nature of this technology, how do you regulate in such a way that you guard against operators, malevolent operators in other jurisdictions? Any thoughts about that?
Well, I shared just a few minutes ago how skeptical I am about the U.S. getting it right, since we're operating the internet under 1996 legislation. I think it's paramount that we get this right. I think you lead it, probably not us. We need to have guardrails, but if it's too restrictive, then we hold back an emerging technology. So I think we need to have guardrails, and they're not just regional, they're worldwide. But also, the bad guys are always more aggressive and more hungry than the good guys, and so they're always going to be ahead of the regulations.
They're unrestricted by regulators.
Right. And so, obviously, we need the best cybersecurity tools we have. If you follow some of these stocks like I do, particularly in the U.S. market, they've all been big winners. But yes, it'll be a combination, because no matter how well you try to legislate and how successful you may be, the culprits are always one step ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that arms war between cybersecurity people and the bad people out there trying to rip us off is a constant in technology development, and going all the faster now. We're out of time, but I'm going to finish with a very, very quick question, very brief answers from our policymakers. The pace of change, unprecedented. We've never had a technology like this that moves so quickly. How do you keep up as policymakers? How do you make sure that your frameworks and your policies are flexible to the potential for change? You've got 30 seconds to answer that.
Yeah, just 30 seconds.
Indeed, that's the world we live in.
Let me say just a few words about what we have accomplished in the last 7 years in Greece. We're now developing Daedalus, which is our AI factory, and of the 7 awards, contracts that were awarded in EU. These days, the law for incorporating AI Act is a bill which is under discussion in our parliament. And in the last 7 years, we have accomplished to have more than 700 million transactions of interoperability just to serve citizens.
I think you can take it as given that we all appreciate what your government has achieved over the last 7 years.
Cloud-first strategy. Europe has to win the AI race, not based on its current technological effectiveness and advancement. It's how you deploy AI solutions in your economy that will be the answer. And then the third issue is how to gain productivity out of it. This question, deployment of AI technology in the real economy, is still open. And also gaining productivity out of it. And this is where we should, I think, gather all our efforts as a Europe. Last, I have to say that if we kind of delay that much in Europe, then we'll have to face also the vendor lock-in problem. Because if we develop AI technologies based on AI solutions and tools which are provided by hyperscalers and AI companies without any real, from Europe's perspective, capability to influence how these tools are used, then it will be, after 3 or 5 years, too late for us to avoid vendor lock-in and use European technologies from AI European factors. So that's the big issue that we're going to face in the forthcoming years, to my understanding.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much for that answer. Ivan, you're the Minister of Innovation, so you must embrace the pace of change. How do you do that?
I firmly believe that the government should be the catalyst of the transformation. We should make the necessary regulation that is understandable and easy to follow. And we should create an environment which attracts talent, attracts capital. And speaking as government, as a catalyst of the digital transformation, I firmly believe that it's up to us to navigate the change of the world, which will define the upcoming decades.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. The only way we could have made this conversation shorter is if it had been between GPTs. That would have been very, very quick. Would have been over in a second. But it was humans, and hopefully will remain that way for some time to come. Please join me in thanking our panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.